have a recording from you, by the way, that it's on my website from you. It was like after our first phone call, you were like, I don't know what you did to my brain. That's literally the word you said.
I need to listen to that. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it's on my website. You'll love it. But so like having that epiphany and having that moment of like, oh, okay. Like, what did it feel like going through this process, like growing and changing and being able to like put your trauma behind?
So before I came to Survivor School, I can definitely remember the reason why I definitely reached out in the first place. I was at my ultimate rock bottom. So I remember I just gotten off anxiety meds as well then. So long story short, like I've had really bad anxiety from I guess when I was 15. The doctors labeled it with PTSD because of trauma. And, I got told that it's a chemical imbalance. It's never going to go away. So I went to therapy for about 2 years. And, there's a psychologist that was telling me, you need to deal with your trauma this way. And then long story short, after about 2 years of dealing with her, she said, I'm really sorry. I think you have a chemical imbalance. I think you might need to be on, and I think you might need to go to a psychiatrist. So, being so young, I was like, what? And these are doctors that are trained for 8 years plus, so of course I believed her. So I went to a psychiatrist, told him my whole story, and of course as soon as they hear anything with trauma, I think they just want to be like, yep, bipolar, yep, you got this. So he did say, it does sound like you've got PTSD, so I'm going to be putting you on these anxiety meds. So for a good year I went through about 3 different types of medication, only to realize after a couple months it stops working, and then you have to double dose and you have to double dose. And I'm so happy that I'm a bit of a nerd with psychology, and being in my 3rd year of psychology as well, I want to be a psychologist myself. So I'm so happy I was like, hold on a minute, this doesn't sound right. And even everything we learn in class about the chemical imbalance is all theories. It's not factual. There's no brain scan that shows you're permanently, different story with people who are born with schizophrenia and bipolar. That's a bit different. It's like 1% of the population. But anyway, so yeah, then after about a year of no medication working, I went back to that psychiatrist, and then he goes to me, okay, I think you have bipolar. So I was like, wow, it really freaked me out. So I was like, no, 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 no. This is a load of bullets. I'm going to find out how to go do a brain scan. And I did a brain scan at the time. And, the lady did confirm you just have really strong anxiety. You don't have PTSD. PTSD is just like, it's just obviously a label to help identify someone who does have like trauma background, but it doesn't mean you're stuck in it. Like what they tell you you are. So, she just confirmed with me, you don't have bipolar. And I went and showed that psychiatrist. And of course, he just stopped replying back to me. And then I was in a state of like, every psychologist I go to just keeps telling me you need to take meds. How can I find someone that can just understand trauma? And I do remember the first time I think I was drawn to your posts and I guess what you were talking about. And I was like, all right, I think this lady is not just someone who's textbook talking and talking. I think she's actually been through experiences, and she actually gets trauma, which is weird because every other psychologist I've been to, even when I talk to them, it's like I'm talking to a textbook. It's like they're like or they're checking off a list, So it was nice to see that there was a human out there that could actually resonate or understand what it feels like to have trauma. So I remember after my first session with you, I really felt like, wow, someone's actually listening to me. They're not just telling me you have this, you have that, So it was really nice to feel like you could really understand trauma and what I was, explaining to you. And I remember the first few times I had a session with you, you were trying to explain to me like this chemical imbalance thing is bullshit. I'm so happy I just kept working with you because you really did make me realize trauma brain. You just have trauma brain and you just have to really unwind and rewire your brain. You're not stuck in that traumatic event for the rest of your life. But the psychologists and psychiatrists, especially the therapy sessions I was having with them, kind of kept me there and said, you're never going to change from there. So I'm so happy. Like you really showed me that your brain is so much more powerful than what we're told. And I was shocked to see how much I changed as a person. And so was a lot of people around me and my family members. And, a lot of people were shocked to see. But again, and I think you told me as well, like you're probably one of the rare few people who actually put in the work. Obviously, I didn't just change like that from a few words you said. I went through ups and downs, but thankfully I kept doing sessions with you and you kept reminding me like, are you sure it's you, or do you just have a shitty environment around you? I think just working with you slowly, and now I'm medication free. um and even starting with you, when I did my brain scan, I saw that I had full red anxiety. And then when I did another brain scan too, and I told that neurofeedback technician what I've been doing with you and stuff, and she said, keep up the good work. And she showed me that my brain's literally changed back to a normal level as well. So there's also factual information to prove.
You've been living with it for so long and struggling to find a solution for so long. We believe when the problem's huge, the solution needs to be huge. And it's very hard to believe that the solution really can be some simple things. Is it complicated? Yeah, it is complicated. There's a lot of complication to it. There's a lot of science behind it. We talk about it all the time. But it starts with these little simple little actions that kind of get you there. You very quickly saw changes. But let's talk
Yeah.
about kind of now what's going on. I mean, big accomplishment for you. You bought a house. That's huge for anyone, right? And
Yeah.
when we first started working together, you were struggling. You weren't sure if you were going to finish school. You were actually talking about dropping out or taking some time off.
Yeah, I'm almost done from the like undergrad. So like I've got like literally 3 subjects to go. And one thing I always wanted to do is buy a house. You really helped me like put things into perspective and be realistic. I was able to do it with the work, and you helped me budget and finance as well and be realistic about how I'm going to get there. So it's really cool. You don't just get mental health advice. You also kind of get a bit of a business coach, life coach. I really like how you can help in so many different facets because it's all connected.
And what's interesting, and this is something we've talked about a lot, is that trauma, especially sexual trauma, and it costs a lot of money to be a traumatized person. It does spread, like you said, into every area of your life. So we can't just say, oh, you're having a mental health day. Okay, here, go do these exercises. We have to address where the trauma is showing up in your real life. Is it your relationships? Is it your financial well-being? Is it showing up in your ability to go to school and grow and learn? Because that part of your brain, literally the thinking brain, gets shut off when your survival brain is turned on.
And I'm still shocked till now that, I kept thinking the only way I can be successful, like these people that have businesses and houses must just have a normal brain. There's no way they have stress. There's no way they have anxiety when they do these things. But no, and that's why it's amazing. It's amazing. I feel really lucky and blessed. And again, so thankful that you took me on as one of your clients to start. I'm so happy. I mean, the fact that, again, this goes to show I was going to people who have studied for 10 years who were telling me the wrong thing. And I actually had factual brain scans. And to anyone who's listening out there, if you've had a psychologist or a psychiatrist that's convincing you that you need to be on tablets, you should also look into how much money the pharmaceutical companies make from doctors telling you need to be on medication too.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I don't want to take on big pharma, and I know there are some people that medication has actually helped. And then there are plenty of people that therapy and medication and the traditional routes, they don't help, and then they feel even more hopeless. And I think that's who you're speaking to the most is the people who have tried the traditional methods and haven't gotten results, haven't gotten relief, or sometimes the meds just make you feel worse. You get a whole new set of symptoms with them.
But if you do feel like deep inside, like this isn't right, or I still feel the same, or I want to get off medication, you're not just doomed and you have to be on medication as well. I just feel so lucky because, again, when you go to a psychologist, you can't talk to them about anything besides your mental health. I think it's just awesome to have someone who can be flexible with other aspects as well.
One of the areas I think I've seen you grow the most is um, your whether it's romantic relationships or your friendships or your family relationships, your ability to set boundaries. I've had the pleasure of watching you sort of kind of blossom and grow, if I may be so cheesy to say those words, but like kind of grow up emotionally over this time. So you've called me up or sent me messages before to like tell me how proud of yourself that you are and like in the growth that you've had.
Yeah, actually, wow. Relationships is a really big thing for me, just especially because, I am big on having, a social group or like connections with people. I think a lot of us are, even though I'm introverted, it's still something I like. If you're listening to this and you've been through trauma or anxiety, I think if you're one of those people that people please or you don't have boundaries, I'm sure you're probably feeling lonely. is a bit of a sensitive thing I'm about to say to anyone that's listening, but I was sexually abused for like 10 years of my life. And it's really unfortunate to hear how common it is in very closed-minded cultures as well. So unfortunately, it was just swept under the rug for me, and I was told to shut up and just keep praying to not embarrass my family. And I was scared. I really thought I was going to get kicked out, but in the end, somehow it actually made them realize after a year later that this mental health is serious, and your child getting abused to that level is not something you can just sweep under the rug. And I'm so happy that I pushed past my family's kind of standards, because trauma is real. Trauma affects you. It's not something you can just sweep under the rug. And I'm so happy I had the push and the support to push against my family. It's amazing to see how when you be brave and push past and stand for what's right, it sometimes actually shakes people and makes them realize things about themselves too. So I hope if anyone out there is a bit scared, or wants to push past that with your family, in the end, people do respect you. But again, I had the help and the confidence, and as well, I realized that my self-esteem was so low as well, just from my trauma, and also feeling like, oh my, how am I going to do this? Yeah, I needed a good support system, because I also noticed I kept attracting friends and relationships around me that were at the level I was at. So insecure, let people put me down. So, I was like, it's like I'm self-sabotaging myself as well at the same time. And I couldn't understand, is it me? Like, do I have issues? Is this why I can't form proper friendships or proper relationships? But over time, realizing my patterns, and you attract what you are, what you think. I really realized as well, you really have to change the way you think. And over time, you slowly will grow into the person you want to become.
So we talk about this all the time, is that, it's one thing to keep people around you that understand your experiences, right? If you hang out with other people that have had trauma or are going through similar life experiences with you, right? It can be comforting to know that people understand what we're going through. But when we stop there, when we get stuck there, we don't grow. So it's so important that not only do you spend time with people who do understand your experience, but also have common goals, similar goals as you, and are moving towards something new and different in the future.
Definitely what I've noticed now that I have a support system that is actually wants to see me grow, not ones that want me in their direction of growth, is amazing. So when you do have a support system around you, is really amazing, because you have those people around that are reminding you, hey, Anna, keep going. Just remember that you're on the right track. And
it's been fun for me to watch you grow. And I'm excited. I want to see where you go next. I know that you've got some big goals, and I'm excited for you as you move toward them. But I say this often to you, is that I'm very proud of you, and I really hope that you are also very proud of yourself.